We're excited to have Julia in our first mentor class for our mentors today as part of the Actuarial Academy initiatives to empower our mentors. So the Actuarial Academy has been running this mentorship program for a number of years. We've mentored like hundreds of young professionals and students of the last 10 years or so. Who've gone through the Actuarial Academy as part of our mentorship pillar. So as a way of giving back to our mentors, we thought of doing our masterclass for our mentors, just to give them with the skills to equip them to be better leaders and better mentors. So this is the first mentor class we're doing, and we have the honor of having Julia Nechesa Shisia being able to lead us in this pioneer masterclass for today. So I personally know Julia, and I've had the opportunity of interacting with her and also gaining a lot from her experience, both from a leadership perspective. And I think today will be a great evening for all of us just to tap into her experience. Herself, she's a very seasoned executive. Currently, she's the executive director of Bancassurance at Absa Kenya. She's a seasoned executive with over 20 years of experience across banking and insurance, and she specialized in financial strategy, leadership, and business transformation. Throughout Julia's career, she has led teams that have delivered record-breaking revenue growth. I don't know if anybody saw the performance of Absa Bank Assurance for 2025. Very amazing, stellar performance there. I would ask anybody to go and look at the dailies and see the record-breaking revenue growth she's achieved, the market leadership she continues to extend in this market, and even the innovative strategies that drive profitability and customer centricity and operational excellence. So we are very delighted to have you, Julia, today. And we believe that your expertise in strategy formulation will be able to impact the teams here today. And also, as you bring the insights you have from a Pan-African wide, market experience, we'll be able to tap into experience as well. Thank you so much, Julia. We look for a very engaging session. At the end of this session, we'll be able to have questions, but what we can do now is just to sit in and listen in to what you have to share with us and also to learn a lot. Thank you, guys, and welcome. Welcome, Julia. Over to you.
So when patient approached me and told me, we've got these mentors of mentees, and I thought to myself, okay, it's an actuarial association. I'm an insurer. I know actuaries. They're more, choices of consequences. What is this best conversation that we can have with the actuaries today? And I thought, what can cut across industries? The power of presence. And I thought that was really something that would resonate very well with me. And I know by the time we finish here, most of you will be thinking, oh, the presence of being in the Vogue magazine, maybe being in the news headline. I believe by the time you're done, there'll be a different perspective. You'll look at it differently and you will understand what really, really presence means and what really how presence impacts all of us. So that's our talk for today. And I don't want us to just sit and listen. I want us to really interact as much as possible, How do we define presence? How can mentors use presence? And what are the outcomes we expect to see here, So for me, and to your point, it's the ability to enter a space and shift it. When you walk in, do we see you? And it's not even about the pomp and color, but when you walk in, what is that thing that pulls people in? When you speak, are you being listened to and you can be heard? Is somebody listening when you're speaking? And can you be heard when you're speaking? That is presence. And then when you stand for something, you believe in something, you're consistent and persistent about it. Until the effect is felt, I believe, guys, this formula we are using, it's going to do this. This is how the industry is moving. You believe in something, you've got values that drive you. You believe it so much that people know that person is an honest person. That person is a loyal person. That is a hard worker. Something about you creates an effect that is felt. That is presence. So that is what, as much as we talk about the presence around publicity, you could be in magazines, you could be out there, you could do all this. That is perfect. But remember, maybe all of us cannot be Obama. Maybe all of us cannot be, the president of Kenya, whatever it is. But you've got the space that you're in, you've got to be present. And I like that somebody said, when you're there, are you being felt? When you're there, are you listening? Is somebody talking? Are you listening? Are they knowing that you're here for me and you're here to support me and we are conversing? Are we together? So that is how, when we talk about presence, I see it from this perspective. And as mentors, we shape that. We shape that. The issue around presence, we shape that. We are talking to people. We are dealing with people. So we are shaping their presence. Sometimes when I work with my team here, and I remember some people are very quiet, some people talk. You have different types of personalities. And you'd find some very quiet people and they have such great ideas. One day I approached one lady who's very brilliant, because sometimes I'd give her work and she'd do a lot. And I would tell her, I see you winking in the dark. You got all these ideas. You don't speak in meetings. She says, I don't like to talk. I don't like to. I said, but just speak. I mean, you're just us. There's nobody else. So you find, even as you mentor people, you draw them in. Let them speak. Let them say something. So that is how I would actually look at the presence. Are you here? When I walk in, do you see me? Can you be seen? So that is just a very clear way of looking at it from the perspective that I would want us to look at. And then I come down and tell myself, then we've got, how do we use our mentorship? How do we use presence to build the leaders? How do we do that? When we talk about presence, we keep telling people, oh, you need to be present. Oh, you need to be present. Oh, you need to be present. But what is that? What is that? How do we do it? How do we do it? So we have to model it, When I talk about presence, I'm telling people, raise your hand and speak in meeting, contribute, make mistakes. I'm modeling. I'm showing them. You're teaching them by doing it. That is modeling, and you are actually, like you're actually, you actually, like I tell people, when children do not do what you tell them, they do what you do. And that is, most of us do the same. You can tell people so many things, but unless you demonstrate some of these things, then it becomes very difficult. How do you speak in rooms? How do you handle pressure? How do you respond to issues? How do you respond to challenges? How do you respond to attacks? How do you respond? What are these things that you do? So you have to, you have to learn how these can impact and can show how present you are and how you're demonstrating to the other. So those are the ways you can do it. One of the ways you can do it. And also, I was thinking, how about creating spaces where presence can be practiced? Because remember, we can talk to people, we can tell them this, we can tell them that, we can tell them that. But then, unless we allow them to talk, unless we allow them to speak what they think, unless we actually invite them in spaces and areas where they could actually contribute, then now we are limiting them to just listening and doing, listening and doing. We have to actually get to a level where now we are making it almost normal for them to be comfortable, but let them come to those spaces. You have to give people permission to think and not just to execute. Do this, do that, do this, wait, follow me, stay here, don't go here, don't do this, don't do this. No. We need to start thinking around, can they initiate something? Can they take initiative? Ask questions. What do you think? Uh, what is the challenge here? Can they have courage to continue? Can they have courage to contribute? I have one policy when I attend meetings. I tell people that I work with most times that there's freedom after speech, but there's only one disclaimer: do it respectfully. Do it respectfully. You get? So give people permission to talk. Then they make mistakes, because when they know they are in safe spaces, they can actually start being creative. And what you do by that, you find if they get to a space where now they can think, now they can actually become creative, now they can, they can actually give different perspectives. What have you done? You've actually built people now who are who are influencing. They are actually influencing. You get that? And then lastly, I thought about, we've got skills. I mean, for you to be that, you're competent. Very good. As much as you're building that, we've got to start building our identities. We've got to build our identities. We are leaders. Even if you'd remove any title from Julia, who is Julia? If you remove everything, whether you're calling me executive director, you call me whatever it is, can you still be able to look at this person and define them? And define them. Do they come to rooms? Do they contribute? When they're here, do they believe that when they are here, they are allowed to believe in themselves and to actually impact? You have to think about that. So let's build that. Let's grow that. Let's start, let's start showing that, what, as I start my career today, I'm planning to be here. I'm planning to be there. I'm planning to be the CEO of, maybe let me use Patient of Liberty. So what are the things I'm building? As I journeyed in my career, well, of course, at some point I thought I'll be a doctor. Then now I came into the insurance space. But one thing I was clear, I will give it my best and my best and my best. The same way, if you're a cleaner, if you're a tea person, whatever you do, you are building something. Can people stand and vouch and say, this person is the best actuary I ever knew? Are you collaborating? Are you building collaborations with others in the business? Or this is my area, and I don't want to care what you do in finance. I don't want to care what you do in business. Like sometimes I'll challenge actuaries and I'll tell them, man, you guys, some of the things you're doing, I don't even know how your mindset is. Nobody knew COVID will come. So what happens to the actuarial models that we developed, So then we'd laugh about it. But then it's about now getting out of your space and starting collaborating, going around, listening, even customer forums. Is it just in my space and I'm good at this? Or can I also find other ways and avenues of interacting with people and building my own perspective with people and working with people in ways that actually demonstrate that, what, this person can be defined by the organization this way. This person can be defined that way. And maybe I can pause there. And let me just pause there before I go to my second and the last slide. And I want to ask you, all of you in this forum today, to just tell me, what do you think you have done differently in your perspective today? What have you done to create presence? What have you done? Just anything, anything you've done in your spaces. What do you think you have done that actually shows that you are present today? And the institution knows, even the CEO knows Zachary exists, Patience exists, or your leader in the business knows it. What is that thing that you have done? Maybe I just want to hear from you. Somebody's hand is up. And team, do you see that as presence? You see that as presence, because now you've influenced, because it's about influencing. So that is presence. I'll still come back to other presence, but let's define this simple one. Anyone else who'd like to share with us what they have done? And I'm sure you're thinking, that was just something, but you see, that has created presence. Somebody has had you. That's presence. Somebody else wants to share? Because when I was younger, I used to believe I do a good job. If it's numbers, you can see them. Just look at the dashboard, But if I have to come and also showcase how we were able to do it, yeah. Someone else would like to share? I see cake. Is this KM? Oh, wow. Well done. Well done. So you see, you guys are already doing it. Someone else would like to share? You guys are already doing it, and this is really exciting. Naomi, tell us something.
Hi, hello.
Hey, hey, Naomi.
My name is Naomi. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya.
You know, when I'm listening to you people, I'm really getting excited. Then let's come to now this the outcomes that we want to see here. So and and this for me is powerful, you know. Because when we are sitting, when we are talking about presence, and I like the fact that, I mean, we talk about the areas of influence, and that actually builds us as we move in the future. Because again, as we move, we must definitely be able to also, you know, get to a level of above the line. We can be below the line, but you also have to start participating in bigger spaces. If I am in the organization and I've come with this model of SME, I've done it and it's working, I can be sharing out there with, you know, with professionals in the industry, networking and making sure like now we are really resonating. So you start even influencing even bigger and bigger. And why I really like mentorship for presence is because you are actually building professionals who speak in rooms. Because, you know, we don't want to just be talking to people and then they're gone. We've got to be talking to people who now, whenever they get a mic, they can speak. Remember? And when they are speaking, what are you doing? You're influencing decisions that will affect very many spheres and very many people. Because remember, this one person that you have mentored has gone and now has raised their hand. They've spoken to 10 people. Another one has raised their hand. They've spoken to those 10 people have more. It's like a multiplier effect. Another 10, another 10, because you have also chosen to be very intentional about being present. And then we now start building trust. And because the message is clear, it's consistent, it is coming through, it is, you know, those are some of the outcomes that we expect. And now as I think about this whole process, then I come back to the aspect around now the branding. Remember, there's the present of now you have shown up, you have influenced the spaces you've walked in, and you know, you are consistent, you need to be authentic. I remind people that, of course, I've practiced, maybe most of you have only done a quarter of the period I've worked. But when you believe in something, when you are building even your own brand, because now that's still present, people start knowing you for something. They start knowing you for something. For example, and I like that person started by saying, oh, Julia has built the business. It has gone so many fold, fivefold. It's a leading bancassurance in Kenya. You know, like that is already something. That's already a presence somewhere. Like you're saying, oh, that business exists. Even you, when you sit, you can see it, you know. And then we sit here, Anthony has done 1, 2, 3. And then we can start seeing, oh, you know, somebody talks about Anthony. You know, when I was there, Anthony did this and this and that. You've influenced 1 or 2 persons and they're talking about it and they're talking about it. That now, it builds another brand now. It starts building the industry trust. And they can see these things are working. And then you're just trying to tell these, you know, the mentees, you know what, guys, go out there and do. And you do not have to be perfect, because I think most of us wait for the right moment. We are waiting for the right opportunity. We are waiting, but we have to always know there'll be no better opportunity. The opportunity is today and it is now. And as I wind out, I want to leave you with this one closing line. The future will be shaped by those who show up, stand, and speak amid uncertainties. Those who enter rooms and shift the thinking. And I hope today, as you came to this session, thinking about the power of presence, I have shifted your thinking completely around what presence can do. And even as you build your brand, now you understand you can only build your brand when you're present. When you have started building the influence, your center of influence, then you expand it and go and multiply it. I hope today, as you leave this space, your thinking has been shifted. And I pause it there for any comments, and maybe I can return it to the administrator. And I really thank you so much for making time to come and sit here and listen and share with me for your 45 minutes. Thank you very much, team, for being here. And I'm privileged to talk to you. Thank you.
Because I've been mentoring for quite long. And sometimes you did discuss the issue of personalities. And when you look at actuaries, most of us are very introverted. We're the quiet person in the room. So how do you balance your own personality, remaining true to who you are as a person and still being able to speak up? Because that's something that we have so much knowledge, but most mathematicians, the same thing with engineers, we are very quiet. We you've interacted with us, so how do you balance the whole personality issue and encapsulate that with being able to speak in rooms?
And that's why I really try to get the presence not being defined by extroverts, because then that becomes what presence is about. You can be very quietly present and quietly influential. And as I started, I gave an example of a girl, very introverted in my team, extremely introverted, but brilliant, extremely brilliant. So as leaders, we must be very also intentional to pick out those kinds of people in rooms and maybe just call them out. But what I encourage even the introverts, I tell them, sit and listen. You don't have to be loud like everybody else, but please make sure, no matter what, speak. Even if it's only one sentence, you'll say, I think. Because you see what you're trying to do, it's not about loudness, it's presence. You can see the difference. So you have an idea, you can share, you can drop a note and say, I would like to share about this. You can even drop a note. But what are you doing? You're already influencing and shifting the thinking. Just make sure your idea comes through, whether you will write it, whether you'll raise a hand and speak, make sure. And I would wish to talk more about this. You can talk even for 2 or 5 minutes, but I'm telling you, you may be the only one who talked for 2 or 5 minutes, but they will say, oh, that person has a point. And Julia, who talks like a robot, will have talked for 1 hour, but they'll pick your one point. So that is the power of presence. Sometimes presence is just not about, of course, sometimes the loud people pick the attention, but presence is deeper than attention. Does that answer you?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thanks.
One for taking the time, actually. It takes, I think, a special person to do what you did, at least availing yourself, number one, your evening and sharing with us. And one, at least even taking the time to put together the slides. One thing that our membership here might not fully appreciate is that it's not 54 minutes. I think it takes effort to think about topic. It takes effort to put the content together and to pull from experience and be able to share with us this evening. So we do appreciate you for that, and definitely something that we take with us today, that then my hope is that people here can take at least something and start practicing that, starting today, tomorrow, and with time. One thing that you also mentioned, Julia, is the multiply effect that from this, and it's from this item that people can speak, can have the opportunity, even when silent. I got that you really don't have to be the loudest voice in the room, but can still shift by asking even on notes to others. So we do appreciate the thoughts, the time, and definitely will appreciate also the slides, so that then we continue to learn and maybe find one thing today to practice, tomorrow find another one, and over time we're getting the completeness of this session. But we do appreciate the time. Myself and Patience kind of drive this mentorship pillar, and we do appreciate your presence and all who participate and mentor and also come to these sessions. Thank you very much.